If you're planning to go into college or trade school, or if you're already enrolled, if you plan on going to graduate school, if you plan on going to professional school, medical school, law school, there's a new law you need to know about. It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill. And while the name sounds nice, it's packed with serious changes to student aid, loans, and how college will be paid for. Hello, my name is Mosley, host of Being the First podcast and creator of YouTube Mo Advice. I help students and families of all backgrounds navigate college and beyond with confidence through guidance, advisement, financial tools, and real life support. And today, I'm breaking this down so you don't get left behind or buried in debt. The One Big Beautiful Bill is a new law signed into law by President Donald Trump, July 4th, 2025. And it takes effect starting July 2026. It's changing who gets grants like the Pell, how much you can borrow, what repayment plans look like, and what schools are held responsible for. If you're in high school, already in college, or planning or a parent planning ahead, these changes will impact how much money you get, how much debt you take on, and how long you'll be paying it back. So let's start with something many families depend on, the Pell Grant. So what is the Pell Grant? The Pell Grant is free money from the federal government to help low-income students pay for college. It doesn't need to be paid back, unlike loans. It's usually used for tuition, books, and basic living costs. Many millions of students rely on the Pell Grant every year. And if you're the first in your family to go to college, there's usually a good chance you're eligible to get it. Now, here's what's changing. First, the government is adding $10 billion to prevent a shortage, which is a good thing, right? So that means more students will keep getting this money. Second, there's a new kind of Pell Grant. It's called Workforce Pell. It's short for short job training programs, not full degrees. They usually are between 8 to 15 weeks long, and they lead to high demanding jobs like certified nursing assistants, tech support, or commercial driving. But the program has to be approved by the state, usually the governor. It must show in places that at least 70% of students in jobs, and it must be affordable. Not every short program will qualify, so you have to be careful when you're selecting and doing research on these programs because they have to meet certain standards. All right? So be mindful of that. Another thing, the third thing that's changing with the Pell Grant is that if you get scholarships that cover your full cost of attendance, your full COA, or if your family's calculated income is too high, you may no longer qualify for the Pell Grant, even if you did before. Like, for example, me, I'll use my example. When I was going to college, I received a full ride to my university and also received the Pell Grant because my family's income was quite low. So I received a full ride scholarship to attend the university, and also on top of that received Pell Grants, Pell Grant monies, which I use to basically live off of, so that was good. Well, that's no longer happening. If you receive a full scholarship that covers all your cost of attendance, you no longer qualify for the Pell Grant. So let's talk about loans. Starting July 1st, 2026, these are the major changes that are happening. The Grad Plus loans are going away. If you're planning to go to grad school, you'll have to use other federal loans, and those have caps, meaning max, that you can borrow. Parent Plus loans are now limited. Parents can only borrow $20,000 per year for each dependent student, with a lifetime cap of $65,000. Graduate students can borrow up to $100,000 total. Professional students, like medical school students, up to $200,000. Total lifetime loan limit for students, $257,500. That is the ceiling they cap. Even if you go from undergraduate to a doctorate, which can take up to 12 years altogether. Also, schools now have the power to lower the loan amounts by program. So if a degree program doesn't lead to strong earnings once they graduate, for example, the school can limit how much you can borrow to prevent over borrowing on your part. And if you're not enrolled full time, your loans will be prorated, meaning you'll only get a percentage of the annual amount. All right. Comment below if you want me to go more into detail about the student loan limits and what's going to be taking place starting in July. And I can delve more into that in another episode. So comment below and let me know if you want me to do a video about the loan limits and how the big, beautiful bill will be impacting that directly. So let's move on to repayment. What are the repayment plans and the changes that are happening? If you borrow after July 1st, 2026, you'll only have two options. A new standard plan based on how much you borrowed, a new income-based plan called RAP, R-A-P, which stands for the Repayment Assistance Plan. RAP is designed to make payments manageable. Your payments could be as low as $10 a month. You can get $50 off per dependent. It caps payments at 10% of your income. There's no negative interest buildup. It's not perfect, but I think it's much fairer than the older repayments. But there is a big, big but. Parent plus borrowers, parents who borrow, parent plus borrowers are excluded from the RAP. That means if your parent takes out loans for you, they'll have to stick with a fixed repayment plan, no matter their income. And if you have mixed loans or consolidate after the cutoff date, some loans won't qualify for the flexible plans. So read everything carefully before making these big borrowing decisions. Let's move on to FAFSA, because even that's changing. The good news first. Family farms, small family businesses, and commercial fisheries won't count against your aid income. However, foreign income will now count in the formula. Again, as mentioned earlier, if your scholarships already cover all your costs, you will not get the Pell Grant, even if you qualify for the Pell Grant. Even if you're low income, all of that, you won't get it if you have a scholarship that's already covering all your costs. Also, if your family's student aid index, your SAI, is twice the Pell Grant maximum, you'll no longer be qualified as well. All these changes start next year, academic year, which is July 1st, 2026, 27 school year. So what does all this mean? Whether you're a parent, a high school junior, a student thinking about graduate school, medical school, doctorate program, this is the time to start planning smarter. Don't just borrow blindly. Choose the programs with proven job outcomes, with the best return on investments, the ROIs. Know your numbers before applying. Like I said previously in a for a previous video. Know your numbers, know your quantitative numbers, know your qualitative information. Know this information before applying to schools, to programs, because again, this is a huge investment that you are taking upon yourself. These changes reward people who prepare, right? Because they're going to happen regardless. So why not prepare? Don't get hurt by making assumptions that this will stay the same, right? Prepare. Start preparing for the changes that are going to come. Also, I wanted to talk about institutional accountability, right? Another thing is, if a college program, there's also part of the changes is institutional accountability, right? So if a college program leaves students, and I think you should know this should be part of your research of every college, any program. If a college program leaves students with low earnings 2 out of the 3 years after they finish a program, they could lose access to federal loans from the government. So that holds the institution accountable for student outcomes, which is, I think, really awesome. So let's say 2 to 3 years out of your program and you have low earnings, that the program, said some otherwise, they could lose their federal student loans for that. So that's awesome. And another thing, and this only applies to private institutions, endowment taxes will be increasing in the year 2028 from 1% to 8%. So that may impact a lot of private colleges, a lot of private universities who give out a lot of aid and funding, a lot of scholarships. That may have a direct impact on the scholarship giving, as a lot of their finance, a lot of their budget comes from their endowment. So if their endowment is going to get taxed from 1% to 8%, that's kind of a huge dip. It's a big dip, but that won't take into effect until 2018. So those are the changes that are happening that I think you should know about. I think are really important. And if you have any questions or comments, let me know. I plan on having a 2-week challenge next week to help students who are interested in attending college create a college list that fits them. So I'll provide more information on the description about that. I may come on again to do a video about this 2-week challenge that I plan on having on how to create a college list that best fits you. Thanks for listening to me. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I'll talk to you soon.